Kyle heard footsteps in the hallway outside the bridge. He stood up quickly and looked around for a place to hide. But it was too late. The door opened and bright light filled the room. "Well, I'll be damned," said a voice that sounded familiar, but older. An elderly human woman walked in. She had gray hair and used a walking stick, but her eyes were sharp and bright. "Kale Silverleaf, you look exactly the same." Kale stared at her. Something about her face seemed familiar. "Do I know you?" The woman smiled. "I'm Beth Taylor. I used to be Commander Taylor when you knew me. Now I'm Admiral Taylor, retired." She walked closer and looked at him carefully. "You really haven't aged a day. The temporal field must have protected you completely." Commander Taylor? Kyle couldn't believe it. Beth Taylor had been young when he knew her. She was the ship's tactical officer. Now she looked like she could be his grandmother. What happened to everyone else? Beth's smile faded. "Captain Martinez died 15 years ago. She was a war hero. Dr. Foster lived to be 93. She never stopped talking about you and what you did for us." She sat down in one of the bridge chairs. "You saved our lives, Kale. But the cost was higher than any of us knew." Kale felt like the room was spinning. "A war? What war?" "The galaxy is a very different place now," Beth said. "Humans have met dozens of alien species. Some became our friends. Others tried to destroy us. We've been fighting the hegemony for 30 years. She pulled out a small device and showed him pictures. Kale saw humans working alongside creatures he had never imagined. Some looked like living crystals. Others had scales like reptiles. One picture showed something that looked like pure energy wearing a special suit. "This is impossible," Kale said. "When I was awake, we had never met any aliens." "Times change fast in space," Beth said. "Come on, let me show you what humanity has become." They left the old ship and walked through the museum. Kale saw his own picture on the wall. Under it was a sign that called him the hero of the Discovery. The sign told the story of how he had saved his crew by sacrificing himself to fix the quantum drive. "People know about me?" Kyle asked. "You're famous," Beth said. "Every child in human space knows your story. The elf who gave up his life to save humans. You became a symbol of cooperation between species." They took a transport pod to another part of the space station. Through the windows, Kale could see huge ships flying by. They were bigger and more advanced than anything from his time. Some of them didn't even look like human designs. "Where are we going?" Kyle asked. "To meet some people who are very excited to see you," Beth said. Starting with Captain Maria Santos, they entered a large ship that was docked at the station. The hallways were clean and bright. Crew members walked by wearing uniforms Kale didn't recognize. Some of them weren't human. A woman with short dark hair and a captain's uniform came to meet them. She looked a lot like Captain Martinez, but younger. "You must be Kale," she said. "I'm Captain Santos. Lisa Martinez was my grandmother." Kale felt his heart skip. "Your grandmother?" "She talked about you all the time," Captain Santos said. "How you risked everything to save your crewmates. How you showed that elves and humans could work together." She paused. "I named my ship the Horizon because my grandmother always said you helped humanity see beyond the horizon of what was possible." They walked to the ship's medical bay. A young woman in a doctor's coat was waiting for them. "This is Dr. Janet Kim," Captain Santos said. "She studied under Dr. Amy Foster." Dr. Kim scanned Kale with a device that looked much more advanced than anything from his time. "Fascinating," she said. "Your cellular structure shows signs of temporal displacement. You're not quite existing in the same time frame as the rest of us." "Is that dangerous?" Kale asked. "I don't think so," Dr. Kim said. "But it makes you unique. There's never been a case like yours." Captain Santos led them to the bridge. It was bigger than the Discovery's bridge and filled with technology Kale didn't understand. But what really surprised him were the crew members. A tall figure made of what looked like blue crystal stood at one of the control panels. Light moved through her transparent body in beautiful patterns. When she saw Kyle, the lights pulsed faster. "This is Zarath," Captain Santos said. "She's our diplomatic officer. Her people are called the Quell," the crystal being turned toward Kale. "Music," came from somewhere inside her body. Kyle heard the words in his mind, rather than his ears. "Welcome, honored one. Your story has traveled far among the stars." At another panel stood a creature with green scales and yellow eyes. She was almost as tall as Kale and looked very strong. When she looked at him, her eyes narrowed. "That's Vexara," Captain Santos said. "She's our tactical officer. Her people are the Saurians." Vexara hissed softly. "So this is the famous elf. You look weak for someone with such a big reputation." "Vexara has some issues with elves," Captain Santos said quietly. "Old prejudices from before the Alliance was formed." The strangest crew member stood near the science station. She looked like a person-shaped cloud of energy wearing a special suit. Electricity danced around her fingers as she worked. "And this is Nyleth," Captain Santos said. "She's from the Ethereal Collective. They don't have physical bodies like we do." Nyleth's voice sounded like wind chimes. "Temporal displacement is most interesting. Your quantum signature is unlike anything I have studied." Kale looked around the bridge. 3 months ago, from his perspective, he had been the only non-human on a human ship. Now he was the only elf on a ship full of different species working together. "I don't understand," he said. "How did all this happen so fast?" Captain Santos sat in her command chair. "It wasn't fast. It took over a century. Humanity spread out among the stars and met new friends and new enemies. We learned that survival meant cooperation. The hegemony doesn't believe in cooperation," Vexara said. Her voice was like a growl. "They think only the strong deserve to live. They've been trying to destroy the Alliance for decades. But we're stronger together," Zarath sang. Her crystal body pulsed with warm light. "Each species brings something special. Humans bring determination. My people bring diplomacy. The Saurians bring warrior strength." "And what do I bring?" Kyle asked. "I'm just one elf from the past." Dr. Kim looked up from her scanner. "You bring something no one else has. You understand both the old technology and the new. Your mind works differently because of the temporal displacement." Neelith drifted closer to Kale. "Your brain patterns show unique quantum entanglement. You think in ways that bridge different time frames. This could be very valuable." Admiral Taylor, who had been quiet during the introductions, stepped forward. "Kyle, the galaxy needs people who can see connections others miss. Your displacement wasn't just an accident. Maybe it was preparation." "Preparation for what?" Kyle asked. Captain Santos looked serious. "For the war that's coming. The hegemony is planning something big. We can feel it, and we're going to need every advantage we can get." Kyle looked around at the diverse crew. A few hours ago, from his perspective, he had been alone on a dead ship. Now he was surrounded by beings from different worlds, all working together for the same goal. "What happened to the other elves?" he asked quietly. The bridge became very quiet. Finally, Admiral Taylor spoke. "A plague hit the elven worlds 50 years ago. Most of your people died. There are only a few thousand elves left in the galaxy." Kale felt like he had been hit in the stomach. His family, his friends, his entire civilization was almost gone. He was not just displaced in time. He was one of the last of his kind. "I'm sorry," Captain Santos said softly. "I know this is a lot to process." Kyle closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them again, he looked at each crew member, in turn. The crystal diplomat, the reptilian warrior, the energy being scientist, and the humans who carried on the legacy of people he had known. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. 3 days later, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Kyle was in the engineering section, learning about the new technology, when Captain Santos's voice came over the speakers. "All hands to battle stations. We have received a distress call from Haven Prime. The colony is under attack." Kyle ran to the bridge with Dr. Kim. When they arrived, the main screen showed a terrible sight. A peaceful planet was burning. Huge alien ships surrounded it like vultures. "How many people live there?" Kyle asked. 2 million, Captain Santos said. Her face was pale. "Humans, Quell, Saurians, and other Alliance species. They're all trapped down there," Vexara growled as she worked at her station. It's the Void Seekers. They're the worst part of the hegemony. They don't just want to win the war. They want to wipe out every species except their own. On the screen, Kale could see the enemy ships firing strange purple beams at the planet. Wherever the beams hit, buildings just disappeared. Not destroyed, not exploded. They simply stopped existing. What kind of weapon is that? Kale asked. Neelith's energy form flickered with worry. It disrupts quantum foundations. Matter loses cohesion at the molecular level. Most terrifying weapon I have ever observed. Our shields can't stop it, Dr. Kim said. Traditional defenses are useless against quantum disruption. Zarath's crystal body pulsed with urgent patterns. Alliance Command has ordered all available ships to Haven Prime, but evacuation will take time. Time the colonists do not have. Captain. Santos turned to her crew. The Horizon is the closest ship. We need to buy time for the evacuation fleet to arrive. But I won't lie to you. This might be a suicide mission. When do we leave? Vexara asked immediately. Now, Captain Santos said. All hands prepare for quantum jump. The ship lurched as they entered faster-than-light travel. Kale held onto a rail as the universe twisted around them. In his time, space travel had been slower and gentler. These new ships were incredibly fast but rough. While they traveled, Dr. Kim showed Kale the data about the quantum weapon. We've never seen anything like it, she said. It breaks the basic rules that hold matter together. Kale studied the readings. Something about them seemed familiar. This looks like the energy patterns from my temporal displacement, he said. Nyleth drifted over to them. Explain this observation, please. When I was trapped in the time bubble, my scanner recorded similar quantum disruption, Kyle said. The same kind of energy that twisted time around me. Dr. Kim's eyes widened. That means your cellular structure might be resistant to the weapon. You've already survived quantum disruption once. They arrived at Haven Prime 2 hours later. The planet looked even worse up close. Whole cities had been erased from existence. The hegemony fleet was massive, with dozens of ships surrounding the planet. We can't fight them all, Captain Santos said. But we can try to rescue some people. The evacuation centers are protected by old energy shields, Vexara reported. But the Void Seekers are targeting them one by one. Kyle looked at the tactical display. I might be able to help. Those evacuation centers use technology from my time period. I understand how the old systems work. It's too dangerous, Captain Santos said. If you're wrong about being resistant to their weapon, you'll die. And if I'm right, I might be able to save 2 million people, Kale said. Zarath's crystal form sang with determination. The Quell believe that great risks create great opportunities. I support this plan. Vexara turned from her station. I still think you look weak, Elf. But you have courage. I respect that. Captain Santos nodded slowly. All right, but you're not going alone. Vexara, prepare a combat team. Neelith, can you analyze the quantum weapon from here? I will attempt to find weaknesses, Neelith said. Her energy form brightened with concentration. Kyle, Vexara, and 6 human marines took a small transport ship down to the planet. As they descended through the atmosphere, Kyle could see the devastation up close. Entire sections of cities were just gone, leaving smooth craters where buildings used to be. First evacuation center is 2 miles from our landing site, Vexara said. She was checking her weapons. Intelligence says there are 50,000 people there. They landed in a forest outside the main city. The trees were withered and dying from the quantum weapon's effects. The air felt wrong somehow, like reality itself was sick. Kale led the team toward the evacuation center. His pointed ears picked up sounds the humans couldn't hear. There are people crying in that direction, he said. They found the evacuation center built into an old military bunker. Thousands of people were crowded inside. Humans, reptilian saurians, crystal quell, and other species Kale didn't recognize. They all looked terrified. An old human man ran up to them. Thank goodness. Are you here to rescue us? We're here to help, Kyle said. But we need to upgrade your shields. The enemy weapons will break through the old systems soon. Kyle looked at the shield generator. It was ancient technology, similar to what he had worked with on the Discovery. but it needed modifications to handle quantum disruption. "I need parts from your transport ship," he told Vexara. "The transport is our only way off this planet," one of the Marines said. "If we don't upgrade these shields, no one is getting off this planet," Kyle replied. Vexara hissed her agreement. "The elf is right. Strip what he needs from the ship." While they worked, the sky above them turned purple. The Void Seekers were charging their quantum weapon for another attack. This one was aimed directly at their evacuation center. "How much time do we need?" Vexara asked. Kale's fingers moved quickly over the control panel, connecting new components to the old system. 5 minutes. "We have 2, Vexara said, looking at her scanner. Kyle felt sweat dripping down his face. Around him, thousands of people were depending on his work. Children were crying. Parents held them close. The Crystal Quell were singing sad songs of farewell. "The weapon is firing," one of the Marines reported. Through the bunker's windows, Kale could see the purple beam coming down from space. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Everything it touched simply stopped existing. 30 seconds, Vexara said. Kale connected the last wire and activated the new shield system. The old generator hummed and sparked, but it held together. A blue barrier appeared around the evacuation center just as the purple beam hit. Perseus. A moment, the two energies fought each other. Purple quantum disruption against blue protective fields. Kale held his breath. The purple beam couldn't break through. The shield held. Everyone in the bunker cheered. Children stopped crying. The Quell sang songs of joy instead of farewell. But Kale wasn't finished. "This is just one evacuation center," he said. "There are 12 more across the planet, and our ship can only carry a few hundred people at a time." Vexara looked at her tactical display. "The main evacuation fleet won't arrive for 6 hours. The Void Seekers will destroy the other centers before then." Dr. Kim's voice came through their radios from the ship in orbit. "Kyle, I've been analyzing the readings from your shield modification. You didn't just block the quantum weapon. You reflected some of its energy back at the enemy ship." Neelith's musical voice joined the conversation. "Most interesting. The quantum disruption field can be reversed. Instead of destroying matter, it could stabilize it." Kyle looked at the shield generator. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy, dangerous idea. "What if we don't just defend against their weapon?" he said. "What if we turn it against them?" "Explain," Vexara demanded. "If I can modify enough shield generators across the planet and link them together, we might be able to create a quantum resonance field. Instead of the Void Seekers destroying us, their own weapon would destroy them." "That's impossible," one of the Marines said. Vexara's yellow eyes gleamed. "I like impossible plans. They surprise the enemy." "It would require someone to manually coordinate all the shield generators," Dr. Kim said through the radio. "Someone would have to be exposed to massive amounts of quantum energy. Someone who's already survived quantum displacement," Kale said quietly. The bunker became very quiet. Everyone understood what he was suggesting. "You could die," Vexara said. "We'll all die if we don't try," Kale replied. He looked around at the thousands of people in the evacuation center. Humans who reminded him of his old crewmates. Alien species he was just learning to understand. Children of a dozen different worlds. "Let's get to work," he said. Kale and Vexara spent the next 4 hours racing across Haven Prime in their damaged transport. They visited evacuation center after evacuation center, modifying shield generators and connecting them to a network. At each location, thousands of frightened people watched them work. "This better work, Elf," Vexara said as they flew to the 8th evacuation center. "My people don't like losing." "Neither do mine," Kyle replied, though he thought sadly that there weren't many of his people left to care. At each center, the work got more dangerous. The quantum energy from all the connected shields was building up. Kyle could feel it affecting him. His hands tingled with strange energy. Sometimes he could see through his own fingers. "Your quantum signature is becoming unstable," Dr. Kim warned him through the radio. "The energy buildup is affecting your cellular structure." "How much time do I have?" Kyle asked. "Unknown. You're the first person to survive this kind of exposure." In orbit above them, the battle was getting worse. More Alliance ships had arrived, but the Void Seekers still had the advantage. Their quantum weapons could destroy any ship in one hit. Captain, Santos's voice came through the radio during their flight to the 9th Evacuation Center. Kale, the enemy is preparing something big. Our sensors show they're charging all their weapons at once. They're going to try to destroy the entire planet, Nylith added. Her energy form sounded worried. No evacuation will matter if they crack the planet's core. Kale looked at his scanner. He had connected 9 evacuation centers to his network. 3 more to go, but time was running out fast. At the 10th evacuation center, they found a group of Void Seeker soldiers already attacking. These aliens looked like insects mixed with machines. They had 4 arms, black armor, and eyes that glowed red. They're trying to destroy the shield generator, Vexara said. She grabbed her weapons. Stay with the civilians. I'll handle this. I'm coming with you, Kale said. Vexara looked at him with surprise. You're an engineer, not a warrior. Today, I'm both, Kyle said. He picked up a weapon from their transport. They fought side by side through the evacuation center. Vexara moved like a deadly dancer, her scales deflecting enemy fire while she struck back with precision. Kale was clumsy with the weapon at first, but his elven reflexes were fast. Soon he was hitting targets the Saurian warrior couldn't see. Not bad for someone who looks weak, Vexara said as they reached the shield generator. Kale connected the 10th generator to his network. Now the quantum energy was so strong he could see it dancing in the air like purple lightning. His hands were becoming transparent. 2 more, he said. We can do this. The 11th evacuation center was under direct attack from the sky. A Void Seeker ship was hovering above it, preparing to fire its quantum weapon. Kyle and Vexara arrived just as the purple beam started charging. We'll never make it in time, Vexara said. Kyle looked at the ship above them. An idea formed in his mind. What if we don't wait for them to fire? He aimed his scanner at the enemy ship and activated the quantum network. All 10 connected shield generators sent their energy upward at once. The purple beam from the enemy ship met the blue energy from the shields halfway between the ground and the ship. The 2 energies collided in a brilliant explosion. But instead of canceling each other out, they combined. The quantum disruption field reversed itself and struck the Void Seeker ship. The ship didn't explode. It simply stopped existing, just like the buildings it had destroyed. Incredible, Dr. Kim said through the radio. You turned their own weapon against them, but the effort had cost Kale. His entire body was now translucent. He could see his own heart beating through his transparent chest. Kyle, your quantum signature is critical, Nylith warned. Much more exposure, and you may phase out of reality entirely. 1 more center, Kyle said. Just 1 more. The 12th and final evacuation center was on the other side of the planet. As they flew there, alarms started sounding from every ship in orbit. All evacuation centers. This is Captain Santos, came the urgent voice through their radios. The entire Void Seeker fleet is charging their weapons. They're going to fire everything at the planet's core in 60 seconds. Kale looked at his scanner. They were still 10 minutes away from the last evacuation center. Even if they flew as fast as possible, they wouldn't make it in time. It's over, Vexara said quietly. We can't connect the last generator. Yes, we can, Kale said. He started working with the control panel of their transport ship. I'm going to use our ship's power core as the 12th generator. That will overload our engines, Vexara said. We'll crash. We'll crash anyway when the planet explodes, Kale replied. He connected their ship's power systems to the quantum network. Immediately, their transport started shaking apart. Sparks flew from every control panel. 30 seconds to enemy fire, Captain Santos announced. Kyle activated the complete network. All 12 shield generators across Haven Prime suddenly connected through quantum energy. The effect was immediate and amazing. A blue dome of energy appeared around the entire planet. 20 seconds. Through their cracking windscreen, Kyle and Vexara could see the Void Seeker fleet above them. Dozens of ships were charging their weapons. Purple energy was building between their hulls. 10 seconds. Kyle reached for the final control, the one that would reverse the quantum field and turn the enemy's own weapons against them. But his hand passed right through the control panel. He was too translucent to touch solid objects anymore. I can't activate it, he said in panic. I'm phasing out of reality. 5 seconds. Vexara looked at the control panel, then at Kale. Tell me what to do. Press the red button when I say now, Kyle said. But, Vexara, this much quantum energy might destroy our ship too. Better to die fighting than to die hiding, the Saurian warrior said. Now! Kale shouted. Vexara slammed her fist on the red button. The quantum network activated fully for the first time. Every shield generator on the planet sent its energy upward at once, creating a massive blue beam that rose into space. The same moment, the Void Seeker fleet fired all their weapons downward. Purple quantum disruption beams fell toward the planet like deadly rain. The two forces met in the space between the planet and the enemy fleet. For a moment, the entire system was filled with swirling purple and blue energy. Then the quantum fields reversed each other. Instead of destroying Haven Prime, the purple beams turned back toward the ships that had fired them. The entire Void Seeker fleet was caught in their own quantum weapons. One by one, the enemy ships simply ceased to exist. In their falling transport ship, Kale watched the enemy fleet disappear. He felt proud, but also sad. He was disappearing too. His body was now almost completely transparent. Kyle, Vexara said urgently, stay with me. Don't phase out now. I can barely see you, Kyle said. His voice sounded like it was coming from far away. Everything is fading. Their ship crashed into a forest near the 12th evacuation center. Vexara pulled Kale from the wreckage, but her hands passed partway through his body. Horizon, this is Vexara, she said into her radio. We destroyed the enemy fleet, but Kale is phasing out of reality. Get Dr. Kim and Neelith down here now. Captain Santos's voice came through the radio, full of joy and worry. The entire Haven Prime population is safe. You saved 2 million people. But hold on, Kale. Help is coming. Kale looked up at Vexara through eyes that could barely focus. Did we win? We won, Vexara said. Her voice was gentle, not her usual growl. You won, little elf. You turned the enemy's greatest weapon into their own destruction. Good, Kale whispered. Maybe now I can rest. No, Vexara said firmly. Warriors don't rest until the war is over, and this war isn't over yet. Above them, the transport from the Horizon was landing. Dr. Kim and Neelith were coming to help. Kale didn't know if they could save him, but he knew he had done something important. He had shown that different species could work together. He had proven that the old ways and new ways could combine to create something stronger than either, alone. As consciousness faded, Kale heard Vexara speaking to the arriving rescue team. Save him, she was saying. The galaxy needs more people like him. Kyle woke up in the medical bay of the Horizon. Everything looked different somehow. Colors seemed brighter, and he could see energy patterns moving through the walls that hadn't been there before. Dr. Kim and Neelith were standing over him, watching scanner readings. How do you feel? Dr. Kim asked. Kale sat up slowly. His body felt solid again, but different. Strange. Like I'm seeing the world through new eyes. He looked at his hands. They appeared normal, but he could see tiny streams of energy flowing through them. The quantum exposure changed you, Neelith explained. Her energy form pulsed with fascination. You now exist partially in multiple time frames simultaneously. Past, present, and future overlap in your perception. Is that dangerous? Kyle asked. Unknown, Dr. Kim said. But it might be exactly what the galaxy needs. Captain Santos entered the medical bay. How's our hero feeling? Like someone who's been hit by a starship, Kale said, but alive. How long was I unconscious? 3 days, Captain Santos said. The entire Alliance has been talking about what you did at Haven Prime. You didn't just save 2 million people. You showed everyone that the Void Seeker's quantum weapons can be defeated. Vexara appeared in the doorway. The Saurian warrior looked embarrassed. I came to check on the elf, she said, to make sure he's not dead. I'm fine, Kale said. Thank you for helping me, Vexara. I couldn't have done it without you. Vexara's scales changed color slightly. You fought well for someone who isn't a warrior. Maybe elves are stronger than I thought. Zarath's crystal form entered the room, her body singing with harmonious frequencies. The Quell Council has declared Kale a friend of all crystals. This is highest honor we can give. What happens now? Kale asked. Now we go to Earth, Captain Santos said. Alliance Command wants to meet you. They have a proposal. The journey to Earth took a week. During that time, Kale learned more about his new abilities. He could see quantum energy patterns that were invisible to others. He could understand how different technologies worked just by looking at them. Most importantly, he could see connections between things that seemed unrelated. Your temporal displacement created a unique perspective, Neelith explained as they studied together. You see how past technologies can improve present ones, and how present ideas might develop in the future. Earth was much different from when Kyle had last seen it over a century ago. Huge space stations orbited the planet. Ships from dozens of different species came and went constantly. The blue and green world he remembered was now the center of a galactic civilization. Alliance headquarters was a massive building that floated in Earth's atmosphere. Inside, Kyle met with the Council of Species, representatives from every member. Race sat around a circular table. Humans, Quell, Saurians, Ethereals, and dozens of other beings Kale had never seen before. An elderly human woman stood to address him. I'm Admiral Helen Brooks, head of Alliance Command. We've been following your story since you first appeared in our time. Thank you, Kale said. I'm honored to be here. The honor is ours, Admiral Brooks said. What you did at Haven Prime changed everything. You proved that cooperation between species and between different time periods of technology can create solutions no one imagined, a Quell representative sang in musical tones. The Crystal Consensus agrees. Your methods show new possibilities for defensive systems. A Saurian general with scars across his face spoke next. My warriors respect strength. You have shown that intelligence and courage together create the greatest strength. Admiral Brooks activated a holographic display. We're offering you a position as Chief Temporal Engineer for the Alliance. You would lead a team of scientists and engineers from every member species. Your job would be to find new ways to combine old and new technologies. Kale looked around the room at all the different species. What would be my first assignment? The hegemony is developing new weapons, Admiral Brooks said. Our intelligence suggests they're trying to create something even worse than the quantum disruptors. We need someone who can think outside normal parameters. I'll do it, Kyle said without hesitation. But I have one condition. Name it, Admiral Brooks said. I want Vex Ara on my team, and Neelith, and any other crew members from the Horizon who want to join. Admiral Brooks smiled. Already thinking about cooperation. I like that. 2 months later, Kale stood on the bridge of his new ship, the UES Unity. It was the most advanced vessel the Alliance had ever built, designed specifically for his team's research missions. The crew was like nothing anyone had seen before. Vex Ara served as his security chief, protecting the team during dangerous experiments. Neelith was his chief scientist, her energy-based perspective helping to solve problems in new ways. Dr. Kim had transferred from the Horizon to serve as medical officer. Even Zarath had joined them as diplomatic advisor. Captain Santos had been promoted to admiral and now commanded an entire fleet, but she still visited Kale's ship regularly. My grandmother would be proud, she told him during one visit. You've become exactly what she always said you could be. The Unity's first mission took them to the edge of known space, investigating reports of hegemony weapon tests. What they found and was disturbing. The enemy was developing something called a reality bomb that could erase entire star systems from existence. It's quantum disruption on a massive scale, Dr. Kim reported. 1,000 times more powerful than what we faced at Haven Prime. Can we stop it? Kale asked. With conventional methods, no, Neelith said. But your unique perspective might see solutions we cannot. Kyle studied the data for days. His changed perception allowed him to see patterns that the others missed. Slowly, an idea formed. What if we don't try to stop the weapon? He said during a team meeting. What if we change what it does? Explain, Vex Ara demanded. Every weapon can be turned into a tool, Kale said. Quantum disruption technology could be used to repair damaged space-time, not destroy it. We could heal the damage the hegemony has already caused. The team worked for weeks developing Kale's idea. They created a device that could reverse quantum disruption fields, turning destructive energy into creative energy. Instead of erasing matter from existence, the modified field could create new matter and repair damaged space. When the hegemony finally deployed their reality bomb against an Alliance colony, Kale's team was ready. The Unity intercepted the weapon and activated their quantum reversal field. The reality bomb, instead of destroying the colony, repaired decades of damage to the planet's ecosystem. Dead forests came back to life. Polluted oceans became clean. Even the scars from old wars disappeared. The enemy weapon had become a healing tool. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. The hegemony's most powerful weapon had been turned against them again. More importantly, the Alliance now had technology that could repair the damage from centuries of conflict. Standing on the bridge of the Unity, looking out at the restored planet, Kale thought about his journey. He had started as a simple engineer, on an old ship. A malfunction had thrown him into a future he didn't understand. But that displacement had given him exactly the perspective the galaxy needed. "Any regrets?" Vexara asked, joining him at the window. "About what?" Kyle said. "About losing your old life. Your old time." Kyle considered the question. He thought about Captain Martinez and Dr. Foster and all the people from his original time who were gone. He thought about his elven homeland and the family he would never see again. "No," he said finally. "I lost a life, but I gained a purpose. I lost my past, but I helped create a better future." Neelith drifted over to them. The Ethereal Collective has a saying. Time is not a river that flows in one direction. It is an ocean where all moments exist together. You have learned to swim in that ocean. Zarath's crystal form appeared beside them, singing with harmonic joy. The Quell believe you have become a bridge between what was and what will be. This is a sacred role. Dr. Kim approached with a datapad. "Kale, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. Dozens of species want to join the Alliance. They've heard about our new healing technology and want to be part of building a better future." Captain Santos's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Unity, this is Admiral Santos. Alliance Command is reporting that hegemony forces are surrendering across the galaxy. They want to negotiate peace." Kyle smiled. "Set course for the negotiations, Captain. It's time to turn enemies into allies." As the Unity turned toward its new destination, Kale reflected on what he had learned. Being displaced in time had taught him that the past and future were connected in ways most people couldn't see. Different species, like different time periods, each had unique strengths that could benefit everyone. He was no longer just Kale Silverleaf, the elf engineer who had been lost in time. He was Kale Silverleaf, the bridge between worlds and times. The proof that cooperation could overcome any challenge. The Starship had needed repairs, and those repairs had sent him 108 years into the future. But maybe that hadn't been an accident. Maybe it had been exactly what was supposed to happen. In the observation lounge that night, his diverse crew gathered to share stories from their homeworlds. Humans, Saurians, Quell, Ethereals, and one temporal displaced elf, all working together, toward a common goal. Looking around at his friends, Kale realized he had found something he had never expected to find in this strange future. A new kind of family. Not